Who's the strongest man? Is it Hulk? The Thing? Maybe Thor? Well, today we're talking about a mutant who might have something to say about that. Meet Guido Carosella, better known as Strong Guy. And with his upcoming appearances in X-Men 97 Seasons 2, I thought it was the perfect time to finally talk about one of the most underrated members of the X-Men universe. Guido Carosella was born with the body of a superhero. In fact, his mutation didn't make him strong right away. Guido was born with a condition that caused his body to constantly absorb kinetic energy. Every time he was hit, every time he took a punch, and every impact made him stronger. But there was a catch. Guido couldn't simply release all that energy whenever he wanted. His body had to store it. And over time that energy changed his appearance, giving him the massive build that became one of his most recognizable features. That's how Guido became Strong Guy, a mutant who can absorb kinetic energy and use it to increase his physical strength. The harder you hit him, the stronger he can become. Which sounds pretty awesome, until you realize that all that energy has to go somewhere. And that's one of the interesting things about Strong Guy. His greatest strength can also become his greatest weakness. But Guido isn't just muscle. He's also one of those characters who brings a very different personality to the X-Men universe. He's funny, he's confident, he is sometimes a little arrogant. But underneath all of that, he's a loyal friend and a powerful member of any team he is part of. And one of the most important themes in his story is the X Factor. Strong Guy became part of the classic X Factor lineup, fighting alongside some of Marvel's most recognizable mutants. And this is where my own collection comes in, because to show you the complete team, I would need to travel to my native country, Colombia. Yep, I know, my collection is currently divided between Australia and Colombia. So unfortunately, Havoc and Polaris are not here with me today, but they will be, I hope soon. They are on the other side of the world, but thankfully, some of the team made it to Australia. We've got Wolfsbane, Multiple Man, Quicksilver, Random, and of course, Strong Guy himself. And when you put these figures together, you can really see how unique the X Factor lineup was. You had speed, you had multiple copies of the same guy, you had a werewolf, and then you had Guido, the guy whose strategy is basically hit me harder. And that's exactly what makes Strong Guy such a fun character. Now, let's talk about the figure. This is the newer Marvel Legends Strong Guy figure, and it's actually my first version of the character. The previous release came as a Bill A figure, and while both versions clearly share the same basic body sculpt, there are some noticeable differences. The biggest difference is the paint. The colors on the new figure have slightly different tone, which gives him a somewhat different appearance compared to the original buff. The new release also comes with 3 additional hands and a different head. Actually, the two heads are totally different. In fact, both heads included with this figure are different from the head that came with the original Bill A figure. So even though the body is very familiar, the new accessories give you more options for displaying him. And then we have this, giant dumbbells, because of course a strong guy needs giant weights. I mean, if you're going to be the strongest guy in the room, you might as well keep training. The accessory is simple, but it makes perfect sense for the character and gives you some fun posing options. Looking at the articulation, I think there's definitely room for improvement. The arms could have a better range of motion, especially for a character who's supposed to be all about strength and posing. And just like many older Marvel Legends releases, The visible pins in the legs are something I wish Hasbro would finally leave behind completely. We've already seen newer figures with pinless technology, so hopefully we continue to see that improvement across more releases. But despite those issues, I really like this figure. Maybe I'm a little biased because I never owned the original Build a Figure version, but for me, this is a great addition to my X-Men collection, especially now that I'm slowly putting together my own X Factor team. And if you're a fan of the X-Men or you're building an X Factor display, I think Strong Guy is definitely a character worth having. He's not always the first name people mention when they talk about the strongest Marvel characters, but with his ability to absorb kinetic energy, his incredible strength, and his long story with the X Factor, Guido Carosella has definitely earned his place among Marvel's most powerful mutants. So, who's the strongest man? Maybe it's Hulk, maybe it's the Thing, maybe it's Thor, or maybe you just need to hit Strong Guy a little harder. But as Stan Lee said, the strong guy would be the one you wanna be. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this episode of Beyond the Figure, make sure to subscribe to Freaky Legacy for more stories, figures, and forgotten corners of the Marvel Universe. I'll see you in the next one.